Welcome back to Man Cave Movie Night.
We're here to play. And
We're not playing again.
oh, sorry.
But we are going to talk about
Boring.
something.
We're here to talk.
We're here to talk. And
What a unique
You may
idea
have
for
read-
a podcast.
you may have misread this episode title as Hidden Figures or as Uncut Gems,
That
which is what
true.
Niall and Jared did. They misread them as two
Two
movies.
Two
Yeah.
movies. Proves that we're very cultured in movies, first of all.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Those
very
are
much.
very
Knowing
good.
two different movies.
And also
First of
not
all,
interested
very
in
impressive.
reading deep into the text messages that we receive about this
Exactly.
podcast. I came fully prepared with a lot of Uncut Gems knowledge.
Yeah, and
Even though
likewise,
he has
I'm
not watched
ready
it.
for... I just rewatched Hidden Figures, so I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
You were actively rewatching it, so it was like perfect.
Well, you sent that
almost
to
lined
me at the gym, so I was watching it while I was working out,
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really impressive.
which is how I like
had
to
to-
watch
just had to
movies, is
eke
on
into
my
the-
phone in the gym.
Had to eke into the conversation that he works out.
It's the most immersive experience. That's how I watched Dune the first time, actually.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah,
it was
dude.
released day and date on
I
HBO
watched it
Max.
on Apple Watch.
I've heard that's a really good way of watching.
It was
I
really good. It
haven't
has
been
the
able to
same
consume it
aspect
that way yet.
ratio as an IMAX screen.
Oh, that's actually really cool. A fact that I didn't know.
It's not true. Continue.
So, we all love AI, right? We use it.
What?
I
We
guess
know
so.
it. We love it.
Sure.
Hard transition.
Hard transition, but may not
The
be the
segue
transition you were
surf.
expecting.
Segway peasant.
One thing that's fun to do with AI is to make it mad. And
True.
it's very easy for me to do this. And it obviously isn't going to say it's mad. But what I did from Niall and Jared's mistakes by misreading the text, and maybe you made the same mistake by misreading the episode topic of Hidden Gems, not Hidden Figures or Uncut Gems, I made ChatGPT compare them directly.
Oh.
And so
So we can get that
this
episode out of the way.
is- It did not like that I asked it to do that because it was like, these are very different movies, but here is
True.
specific information about them. And I said, no, give me less specific information on each film and compare them directly.
More comparison.
And this is what it gave me. Hidden Figures and Uncut Gems are two vastly different films in terms
True.
of genre, setting, and themes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so
Hidden
passive aggressive.
I know, exactly. Hidden Figures is a historical drama based on the true story of three African-American women mathematicians who played crucial roles at NASA during the early space mission. Uncut
about
Gems, on the other hand, is a crime thriller drama set in New York City's Diamond District. It follows the chaotic life of Howard Ratner, a jeweler and gambling addict, who becomes embroiled in a high-stakes bet involving a black opal. Comparing the two, Hidden Figures is a historical drama with an inspirational tone, focusing on real-life achievements and civil rights issues. In contrast, Uncut Gems is a tense and gritty crime thriller, delving into the high-stakes world of gambling and the jewelry trade. Both films offer unique perspectives and feature strong performances.
There you go.
But they cater to very different audiences in terms
only-
of genre and
The only comparison is
Only
the actors are
crossover
good.
so far.
Yes, that-
The actors in
they
each
both
are great.
feature unique perspectives and strong performances. So that's all that it gave me, and I think it was unhappy to give me even that much, but I thought that was highly entertaining.
No, that's good, and that's educational. In case
great. It is very
that's a better recap of any movie that we've had like on this podcast.
Oh,
Usually our episodes are not that
1,000,000%.
succinct and not that knowledgeable. At
And
least
only
not that
about
eloquent.
Half that passive aggressive.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're not talking about either of those movies this week. We're talking
Aw.
about some hidden gems.
The diamond in the rough.
Bazinga.
Is that going to be the last sound
That's
before
the
the...
end of the whole episode. Well, thank you for listening to our theme song yet again. Or if you're here for the first time, welcome back to Man Cave Movie Night. Or I guess welcome for the first time to Man Cave Movie Night.
Another Man Cave Movie Night Monday.
Another
Yes.
Man Cave Movie Night Monday.
My name is Lucas.
My name is Niall.
I'm Jared.
He's eating
And
a
we
burrito.
have fun talking about movies. But this week, I would say Uncut Gems and Hidden Figures are not hidden gems.
They're
either of
public
them.
gems.
They're public gems. People know what they are. And I think it's fun to talk about hidden gems because sometimes we have things that we really like and then we look them up and we're like, wow, no one has seen this and I don't even know how I came across it. I don't even know how I stumbled across it, but I consumed it. Maybe we were watching it with a group of friends and someone turned it on and it's like, hey, that actually seems pretty good. And similar to, maybe sometimes when we watch something we enjoy, we want to share it with people, but it's already hard enough to get people to watch or consume some form of entertainment that they have heard of. So trying to get someone to watch something that they've never even begun, they haven't even heard of the actor or director or anything like that, it's just doomed. So we're not as much like recommending these as much as saying, hey, these are things we really like that you've probably never heard of. Maybe you can check them out if you want to. If not, here's why I like it. So with that, the thing we talk about most on this podcast is movies. And so we're going to talk about maybe some hidden gems of movies that we have enjoyed that none of us have seen and probably not many of you have seen, and why we think they're good and fun. And, again, maybe you'll want to check them out eventually, like in 100 years when you're completely bored and out of content to consume.
Yeah, I just like that, with a podcast like this one, a lot of people just click on the episodes of the things that they've already seen. They're like, oh yeah, I've seen Spider-Man. I'll listen to their Spider-Man episode. I like Star Wars. I'll click on the Star Wars episode. Well, congratulations. You just clicked on an episode, and you're not going to know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're going to be
But
lost.
neither will we.
Yeah. We're all basically just talking independently of each other, not listening, shouting things into the void for about 50 minutes until the episode just kind of fades into nothing.
Just kind of ends.
Yep, it just kind
I
of
want to go
ends.
first.
All right, let's hear Niall's.
This is a hidden gem, not because few people have seen it, but because few people know that it's really good.
Interesting.
Because a lot of us, I think, saw it as small children and then forgot about it. Maybe look back on it with some nostalgia, wondering if it's even real. My hidden gem of a movie is Bionicle Mask of Light.
Oh, nice.
Great.
This movie, I think in the last 12 months I've watched it twice. The full thing.
What? I was about to ask when was the last time you watched it.
Yep, with two different groups of friends, it's come up and we watched Bionicle Mask of Light.
That's great.
And
How long
listen,
is it?
It's like a little longer than an hour. The
Oh,
full
nice.
thing is
That's
on
still, like,
YouTube
pretty-
for free with no ads. And
Which
honestly,
means someone stole it and put it there, and the algorithm just hasn't found it yet.
and the owners of it don't
Yeah.
care enough to take it down.
No,
Like,
yeah. We probably
so-
have 30 subscribers. Or it's like
It is honestly really, really fun. It has some very, very clear, I would say, thinly veiled parallels to The Lord of the Rings. But it is honestly a lot of fun. The voice acting is pretty good. The music is, not joking, awesome. There's
Nice.
fun little... there's like a...
Bionicle Easter eggs for all you Bionicle
No,
fans out there.
there's just like kind of movie fun Easter eggs. Like there's a cipher language, like the language of the Bionicles, where different things have different like different symbols equal different letters. It's super basic, but the end of the credits ends with just a sheet of these cipher symbols. And you can look up a translator.
Oh, nice.
And,
Like
and
a
you can
decoder?
translate like a
Yeah.
decoder, and you can decode the thing. And just like
Okay.
little stuff like that. It honestly, especially for being short, I think if it were any longer than it is, you would be like, okay, this is dumb and I'm tired of it. But it honestly kind of stays fun the whole time. It's a little fun to just kind of like make fun of a little bit because it's clearly made for kids. But also you look at it and you're kind of like, man, I remember Bionicles and like, oh, the ice one was my favorite growing up and just like different things like that around an actually kind of genuinely captivating storyline. It's good.
That's pretty sick. Honestly,
It's great.
that
So
it's like,
Bionicle Mask of Light is my choice. Also, there's like 4 of those movies. I haven't seen any of
Is
the
that
other
the
ones.
first one? Or is it just 4 independent movies?
Mask of Light is the first one, and they continue the story as far as I'm aware. But
Okay.
it's cool, and they have like kind of a pretty well-developed lore in the world. I don't know. It's just cool. I like it a lot. That's my
Awesome.
hidden gem.
nice. That's a great hidden gem.
Thanks.
I have seen that, but I remember zero about it. I
It's
remember
about time.
Yeah.
getting it from the public
about time
library
to watch it twice.
in Florida. I'm pretty sure I watched it when I was living in Florida.
Nice.
And, I've been into Legos my whole life, and so watching that was just really exciting for me because it was
Yeah.
like, oh, wow, it's a real Lego movie.
There's a
But
scene where they surf on lava. Pretty sweet.
I remember that now, actually. Wow, that's like a very specific memory in my brain. Because it probably came out around the same time as Spy Kids 3, another
Yeah.
hidden gem.
Well, I don't know how
It's kind of-
hidden
I feel
Spy
like it was
Kids
pretty
3 is.
publicly
Yeah.
a gem at the time.
Yeah, that's
If I'm still getting recommended content made by the guy who plays Junie, I don't think it's hidden.
who? Wait, the guy who plays Junie. What's he?
Yeah. He's in
TikTok.
nothing anymore, but he's on TikTok. And he's
Oh,
married to
really?
Meghan Trainor. So that's kind of
Yeah.
fun.
Oh man, sucks to be him, man.
Imagine you're the one having all that music play tested on you before it goes out to other people.
You're
Ugh.
just like, yeah, honey.
He
it's
has
good,
to
I
hear the
promise."
bad stuff that she writes.
that she doesn't put out. No, honestly, I have no opinion on Meghan Trainor.
I do. I don't like her.
I don't like to publicly hate people anymore.
That is not true at all.
I think it's fun to publicly hate people. I think it's fun as long as you publicly hate basically everyone.
Everyone, yeah.
That's-
Because
that's
then people
true.
are like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, your
You can't
opinion
be
doesn't
too
matter."
specific.
If you're specifically calling out one person to hate.
Yeah,
Or
like
one group of
Gandhi,
people.
get that guy out of here.
Yeah.
So
Don't like him.
I have a hidden gem on this.
Gandhi
Jared.
and Meghan Trainor are the 2 people
Yeah.
that I don't like.
But yeah, no one else. I have no other ill will towards anyone else. Jared, did you
Oh,
have
you
your
want me to
hidden
go?
gem? Yeah, go.
I've got a couple that I want to preface. I usually don't watch movies that I haven't already heard about, right?
Fair.
It's very rare for me to just randomly pick something, throw it on. Especially with how much content there is, how many movies are already on my watch list. Constantly movies coming into the theaters, and I'm missing them all the time. And so there's usually ones on my radar that I would watch instead. So these are movies that maybe people have heard of, but I mean, they aren't talked about a ton. So that's
Sure.
what I'm going off of. The first one, going off of the childhood movies. Sorry, oh my gosh, that burrito is
Fighting
Coming back up.
it's going
It's
for round
returned.
2, baby. We'll cut all that.
No, I will not. What
The
do you mean,
first
we?
one.
He's gonna put it on a loop. He's gonna repeat
No!
that
Loop
section
your
for
greasy burrito burp for
30
the next
seconds.
hour. Yeah.
I experienced it twice, and now you guys can experience it 20 times. So, it is Pokemon Heroes. This came out in 2002. It's a movie. It's the movie, again, maybe you guys have seen it, maybe not.
It's not Pokemon the movie. This
It's not
is a separate
Pokemon the
one?
movie. This is Pokemon
Okay.
Heroes. Pokemon the movie is also great.
Yeah.
But this has Latios and Latias, okay?
Sick.
Nice.
And they are on this kind of like Venice? Is that the one with all the canals and
boats?
stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a Venice-inspired Pokemon city that they're all at. And it starts out with them doing a racing competition where they are water skiing off of their Pokemon through the canals and
No
stuff.
way.
It's so sick.
That's sweet. Yeah.
And like some of the main character like Pokemon that they have are Umbreon and Espeon, right? It's all ingrained into that region, and it's just super fun, right? There's a lot of
sounds fun.
emotion, right? And obviously there's some baddies trying to do these bad things, and our heroes have to stop them. So
I would want to
baddies.
stop him.
It's good, and
I want to
there's
join them.
there's so many times when I think back about like the Pokemon movies I watched, and I never go back to Pokemon the movie. It's always
Interesting.
Pokemon Heroes
Interesting.
for me.
Cool.
How long ago would you say it has been since you watched that?
Oh, I don't know. I think I might have watched I think in the last 5 years I've gone onto YouTube and rewatched the water skiing part and some of the
Nice.
scenes.
Sweet.
But the full movie, it's been a long time. So,
Movie night.
but yeah, I've
get
watched
together.
it many times.
That's
one I've
cool.
Together
watched
and watch
multiple times.
Bionicle
That's very
Mask of
cool.
Light and Pokemon Heroes.
And then Pokemon Heroes. That
So-
night would be pretty fun. Crack
Yeah,
a few
well,
Zos.
yeah.
Yeah, crack some
definitely go.
Zos. Watch some Pokemon Hero.
Yeah, we can't watch those movies without the spirit of The Rock in the room.
Yeah.
True.
Because
We leave
Our
a
The
seat
Rock
childhood
open.
hero.
voices the Mask of Light.
We leave
And
a
he
seat
voices
open
Ash.
for the spirit of Dwayne The Rock Johnson anytime we watch a movie.
And he's a large lad, so it's a pretty big seat.
Yeah, it's a
that we
cushion
have
and
to
a
leave.
half.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's worth it. Everything is worth it for Dwayne.
The other movie has gained more popularity the longer it's been out, which is awesome. But I remember seeing the trailer in high school, and I was like trying to talk to people about it, but nobody knew what I was talking about. And then I'd show it to them, they're like, "Yeah, that looks pretty good," but like it didn't come out in an American release, except for like limited theaters.
I think I know what you're going to say, and I fully agree.
And ever since then, when people are like, "What's a good movie I should check out?" I'm like, "You got to see this one because it's such a great gem that a lot of people haven't heard about, and that is Sing Street."
Yeah, dude.
Oh, nice.
We've
Movie's
talked about it on the
perfect.
podcast before. Man, oh man, it's just such a great tale of.
Is it a
like,
foreign film?
It's Irish.
Irish.
Oh.
And it's so
Dublin.
charming. Has a great soundtrack. It has a really lovable protagonist in this coming of
Same.
age story, and so yeah, it's really awesome.
That sounds pretty awesome. I still have never watched that, even though you've recommended it to me.
Yeah, see,
Nor
because
have
it's
I
not
watched.
it's not high up. It's not. In that
Well, I just forget about
conversation.
it. It's on my watch list on Letterboxd, so it's in there somewhere. But it gets lost among
And not
the
high
other
enough
ones
for
that
you
are-
to like care about it to watch it.
Yeah, yeah. Usually I sort by popularity so that I can
Sure.
stay up to date on what's cool and trending.
You
Yeah.
you
Which-
sort by movies that aren't on our watch list.
Exactly.
Movies we haven't seen.
Yeah, no,
Movies
just
you
a
haven't seen, so
negative
that I can
search.
bring it up and be like, "Oh, have you guys seen this?
have
Oh,
you
you
seen-
haven't? Huh? Interesting.
Everyone's
Well,
talking
it's
about it.
pretty-
It's all the
everyone's
craze.
talking about it. Yeah, it's pretty good, and I
Well,
kinda like it.
Lucas, our resident filmmaker, what weird, dumb niche movie do you have on your hidden gem list?
Oh,
Lucas
it's
is
this
like-
little. It's
a-
this little underground film. You guys probably haven't heard of
called
it. It's
The
called The
Dark.
Shape of Water. It's pretty cool. It's made by this kind of indie guy named Guillermo del Toro. I don't know if you've heard of him.
No, I
either.
feel
He's
like
kinda-
Lucas's answer is
kinda
going to be some
unknown.
like Turkish film from like 1951 or something.
Yeah, the Turkish invasion of Turkey from 1951, directed by Edvard Skinert.
Dude, yeah, everyone's seen that one. Bad
I know
answer.
it's not really a hidden gem.
That's not a hidden
but-
gem.
But I know a few people who haven't seen it yet, so I kind of wanted to shout it out. No, so I've got a couple as well. First one is a movie that you may have heard about, maybe some of the actors in it, but I am almost certain that you have not watched it. But you've probably seen things that have ripped it off, and that movie is Duck Soup, which is a
Oh, that's
comedy.
like my favorite movie.
It is a comedy from the Marx Brothers, who you may have heard of. They were a comedy trio from
And
the
they built the first airplane.
and they built the first airplane from
And they also invented communism.
not 1951 but 1933. So we're talking
Ugh.
pre-World War II.
Whoa.
But this was like very early stages of comedy filmmaking. Like Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin were silent, but then these guys were talky. They actually had
way.
they actually had words
Part of
that
that
they could
film rebellion.
Yeah, part of that film rebellion
It'll
where
never
they
catch
integrated
on.
audio. Yeah, it'll never catch on. Audio and visual synchronized. But the Marx Brothers, I grew up watching because my dad is a huge fan of them, and subsequently made me and my brothers huge fans of them as well because of how silly their sense of humor is, especially for the 1930s. It's just very like, I don't even want to say necessarily like slapstick comedy, but it's very kind of that type of stuff where almost like absurd, almost like Tim Robinson almost certainly is a fan of the Marx Brothers. It's like that kind of like weird stuff in professional situations that these characters do. And the movies aren't very long, but they're all very, very funny. They're very entertaining. They throw them into these weird situations that they don't belong in, and they have a lot of fun with it. And so, if you're ever hankering to watch a movie pre-war, then Duck Soup from the Marx Brothers has got to be high up on your watch list.
Cool.
But it's hard enough to get people to watch movies that are not pre-2010, so I have no expectation. But like I said, I don't have any expectation for you to watch this. This is just a movie that I really like and that I grew up on and I had a lot of fun with.
Real quick to piggyback off of that, another duo, not another duo, but a duo, kind of same era, same vibes. If you watch any Abbott and Costello movie, like where they have a bunch of like haunted movies, like Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein or something like that, or with Dracula or whatever. They're funny because they're playing these characters and they're in these weird situations, but at the heart of it, it's like, I don't know, it feels like just the very beginning iteration of like the more modern like buddy comedy. Like Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly are just like this generation's Abbott and Costello. So any of those old comedies, truly, every time I watch one, they are so much funnier than I'm expecting them to be. Yeah. Because comedy kind of hasn't changed that much.
Yep. So turns out comedy can be timeless. There are some very funny things from a long time ago that, remain funny even today.
Bro, tell that to City Lights and Modern Times. Could not watch those.
I think that's...
I haven't even heard of that.
That's Charlie Chaplin.
Charlie Chaplin.
Those are some Charlie
Charlie Chaplin sucks. He's a hack.
Yeah. I would say there are certain things that do not transcend as well. However, Buster Keaton, who I mentioned briefly, is another silent film era.
Yes.
Not comedian. I mean, whatever you want to call him. Film
Is he
actor.
the general? Is that
the general? Exactly.
That one's great.
Entertainer. It's great. Yeah, it's really,
awesome.
really funny. Silent as well, but they use it to their advantage. They don't use it as a limitation, which I think is the best way to do that. Use your limitations as strengths, especially when you couldn't synchronize sound and audio, and they never should have even begun to do that. But that's another day. That's a topic for another day.
We like our sound separate
from our visuals.
Keep it over there.
I think
if I wanted sound, I would listen to music, or I would go down to the soda fountain where the doo-wop group sets up on Thursdays.
And then I'd close my eyes so that their voices would be synchronized. I wouldn't have to be watching them and listening at the same time.
Yeah, 2 senses at once, way too much work.
Too many. Too much. The other movie has a little bit of a story with it, and I have good friends of mine who are dubbed the Nibos because they're brothers, and technically we're cousins, but I'm cousins with them, but they're my second or third cousins.
You're cousins with them, but they're not cousins with you.
Yeah. They're not cousins with me, and also I don't really like just saying cousins because it's like, how many of your second cousins can you even name? It's not like there's no familial
how much time
obligation to spend time with them. How much time do I think of them?
No, I'm sorry. I'm interrupting you. Just keep
going. No, you're fine. So anyway, I will watch movies with them occasionally in their house, and they will have a voting system. And sometimes that means I have to watch a movie that I have no interest in watching. And, sometimes I'm surprised, and it's great. It's like, wow, you know what? That movie was actually really cool. But probably 4 out of 5 times when it's a movie I've never heard of, it is not very good at all. But at least I'm exposed to new types of material, right?
Sure. Those rose-colored glasses are really putting in some hours right now.
No, it is rough because I've watched some of the worst movies I've ever seen in my whole life in that basement with them, just because someone voted for it and then other people thought it looked vaguely interesting. Yeah, but I'm going to talk about one of them that I actually really, really enjoyed, and I'm certain none of you have heard of it. It's called 13 Sins. It has Mark Webber in it.
Series.
It is not a Netflix series. It has nothing to do with 13 Reasons Why.
Oh, gotcha.
Mark Webber is the main character who is the
You heard me whisper that, right?
Yeah.
I just have a burrito in the mouth.
So yeah, 13 Sins has Mark Webber in it, who is the drummer in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, a movie we have all seen.
Mark Webber?
And Mark Webber is his name.
That's Kim Pine is the drummer.
Yeah, the chick in Scott Pilgrim.
Not the drummer. Yeah, sorry, the main guy, the singer.
Steven Stills.
Yeah, whatever the character. I don't know
talent.
the character's name.
The talent.
So he basically, the premise of the movie is he is down on his luck, he's out of money, and then he has this opportunity to basically, it's like a dare, like, hey, if you do this, I'll give you X amount of money. And so he does it, and they're like, cool, you did that, so tomorrow I'm going to give you another challenge, and if you do that, I'll give you even more money. But it's like an even worse challenge. And so it's essentially getting worse and worse and worse to the point where it's like questioning. It's essentially asking how far would you go for money and how much money, because he gets to the point where he's made a lot of money, but there's always the temptation of, oh wow, well, I could just double it. Yeah, what if more though? Exactly. And so that's kind of the whole narrative.
That's the tagline of the movie.
What if more?
What if more though?
This sounds like
and it was really good. It was like really
like
surprisingly
Nerve.
good. It was this.
I was gonna say it
unknown
sounds like
horror
Nerve if Nerve wasn't bad.
Bad,
movie. It came out before Nerve as
Nerve
well.
is
So
so bad, dude.
I did not watch
It also kind of sounds like it has some Who Wants to Be a Billionaire vibes. Or
I
Millionaire.
haven't seen that either.
It's a TV show. It's a
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
show.
Yeah, I mean, not cool. There's no trivia
what'd you think
aspect to it.
Well, yeah,
I
but
thought-
what I'm saying is like
well,
they
he
get
said
to a point
billionaire,
and
so
they're like,
maybe
oh, well, I
it's a
have this
play
money.
on the show.
I
that's
have
like
this
a
money,
movie.
but
Yeah, it's
what
like,
if
yeah,
more
it's
though?
What if more though?
Yeah, it's like
I guess
Truth or
there's
Dare.
some elements of that. But yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Totally, underground unknown. And one of the few, I won't say the few times, one of the times where I have been forced to watch a movie I was not wanting to, and it was good, and I enjoyed
Cool.
it. So
Good.
I like that answer. Good
I do
answer.
too.
Good answer, bud. I like
thank
it.
you.
I want to open it up now because I actually, in preparing for this ep that we're recording currently, I started realizing that I have a lot more answers for this question if they're outside of movies.
Yeah.
I've got some other
Especially
stuff
music,
to
sure.
bring up. Well, yeah, music, but blah blah blah. That's its own thing. More so, I've got stuff. I've got some video games. I've got some, not necessarily TV shows, but things that you can find that are kind of more serialized, maybe on YouTube, say. And so, like, do you guys have any stuff that's not movies that's still kind of entertainment, hidden gem type vibes?
Entertainment adjacent.
Yeah.
Well, there is this little show called Death Note that I don't know if anyone has heard of.
Yeah, it's actually very popular.
Yeah,
Oh,
hugely
what?
popular. One of the most
It's hugely
famous.
popular. How did you not hear about it until recently?
Well, I just started watching it. It was suggested to me on Netflix, and I was like, huh, underground hidden anime. Netflix knows that I love anime.
You
Might
mean
as
the
well start
movie?
watching it. No, it's a
Yeah.
cartoon.
Okay.
Hey.
Is that your answer?
No, that's not my answer, because I don't have an answer right off the top of my noggin, because...
I've got some.
Okay, go.
Hit us.
I
Say
can,
something and
I
I'll
can
think of
list
something.
some stuff off.
List
Okay.
some things, and I'll...
First of all, there are hidden gems in the sporting world, and I
What?
want to
LeBron
list
James.
some of them for you. No, I thought of these because I was thinking it would be funny to say like, it got to my turn on hidden gems, and I said like basketball, the sport, or something. But then I started thinking there actually are some sports that I watch like on YouTube that are quite entertaining.
Yeah, sure. I know where this is going.
Yeah.
So the first one, there's a YouTube channel called Yella's Marble Runs. Who
Marbula 1.
he does Marbula 1 and he does the Marble Olympics, which are now called Marble League.
Why? Was
and-
he sued or something?
I don't know. He just calls it Marble League now. But
Probably sued.
it really is shocking how quickly these marbles stop being marbles and you start thinking of them as like having traits and personalities and like attributes like, oh, this team is
Souls.
generally fast and this team is generally good at more endurance type things. It's ridiculous. But truly, like so entertaining, and the production value is crazy. The way that they like add in, you know, background sounds to make you feel like there's a crowd there, and the narrator Greg Woods or the commentator, I guess, he's excellent. That's a great one. That's the one I'll talk most in depth about. But there are two others. These are actual sports that are like done in events. Timber sports, which is basically lumberjack sports, where they
100%.
Nice.
yeah,
That's kinda sick.
they
Those
have
are great.
different events of like needing to saw through like a certain like size log, and whoever's chip is the thinnest and also the fastest wins, things like that. There are tons of different events in timber sports, all of them so interesting to watch. So timber sports, and then also blade sports,
Yeah.
which is a
How
sport.
did I know
Blade
you were
sports.
going to say all three of these things?
Exactly. Blade sports is a sport where people craft their own knives, and then they have to prove how good of a knife it is in all areas by going through an obstacle course of like
Yeah.
rope cutting and cutting ping pong balls in motion and
Nice.
doing all
That's
of these
sick.
like rope sawing, but then
Yeah.
also rope slicing, cutting
Like
straws.
Forged in Fire on steroids, kind of.
Pretty much, yeah. Forged in Fire is like steeped in the
corporate
blade
version
sports
of it.
world. Yeah.
Yeah.
So blade sports, very, very entertaining to watch. Those are my series. I also have a video game, but I've been talking for a while, so I'll be done, and then we can loop back to the game later.
Cool. I have got something, and it's from the entertainment world, but it's not necessarily. We'll say it's a hobby more.
Is it
more-
exotic dancers?
It's
Oh,
exotic dancers.
I know what it is.
Downtown
Gotcha.
Provo. We've got no. So this is a hobby / collectible, and I
Yeah.
think it's fun to collect things.
Oh, you freaking dweeb.
I'm a dweeb.
How'd I know?
Yep.
Full dork.
And I am a dork, and
Better
I like
tape up your
things.
glasses.
And this, you know, you can see kind of some of my Lego collection behind me here, which I do love Legos as well.
But
However,
inferior to Mega Bloks, which is what your answer is.
yes,
Yeah.
that
Connects.
is blasphemy, and I will not stand for it. No, it is Steelbooks, which is something no one has even
Oh,
heard
that's not
of
what I
or
thought you were gonna
cares
say.
about at all. But basically, like Jared has his collection of Blu-rays behind him. Same basic idea, but yeah, very cool. Same idea
meat and
where
potatoes, but cool.
it's a disc and it is
More
held-
expensive.
well, it depends. Sometimes they are very inexpensive, especially on eBay. The aftermarket, like this is not a collectible I'm in because it's fun to, see it appreciate. It's something that I just like the simplicity of having something that looks nice that I can kind of display. And
Yeah.
Steelbooks do
Alternate
that
art
great.
is fun. Like
Yeah, alternate art on the cover. And so there's no, like, it'll have the title of the movie, but there's no credits on the back. There's no, wow, I thought this movie was so great, says some movie critic you've never heard of. It's just very simplistic art. And then you still, get the disc, and so you can still watch it. And so that is kind of something that I have gotten into recently because there are a lot of movies that I love that are kind of getting harder to find on streaming services. And if it's a few bucks to rent them, I'm like, I can find this Steelbook for like 10 or 15 bucks online. Like I just saw yesterday, like Whiplash, you can get for like 12 bucks, which is
Wow.
probably about
Worth
the
it.
same price as, it's cheaper than you would have bought the Blu-ray when it came out for like
When it
$30.
came out, yeah.
So there's a lot of movies like that you can just find and get for cheap. I mean, maybe they get more expensive nowadays just because 4K discs are typically the way they're released. And so it's just, any way to try and
we're
jack
returning
Hey,
to Laserdisc.
To Lucas, $100
Yeah.
is nothing.
That's true. $100
You
is
could
nothing
just
to
throw
me.
it away.
I could buy 8-ish Steelbooks with $100. But yeah, Steelbooks
good.
are a fun
That's
little
pretty
thing to
great.
collect, and if you
I
like
like that
movies, it's kind
answer.
of a high.
It's
It's
a
kind
higher
of an
way to
elevated
enjoy.
way to enjoy displaying your movies that you like.
It's a way that you can enjoy movies that other people like, but you can feel like you're enjoying it better than they are.
Better, exactly.
Nice. I like that.
Here's
I like that a
here's the
lot.
pop star one, which is fun. It
I had no idea that movie even had the budget to get a steelbook.
yeah,
Oh,
nor
it
did
has
I.
them attacking the queen bee. That's
It has them-
awesome.
yeah, exactly. So it's just a fun little piece of art.
That's great.
And yeah, it's just stuff like that. Sometimes it's a poster that you might have seen online or something like that. But
What I thought you were gonna say when you went collectibles and nerdy is hero clicks.
Oh, I do love HeroClix. However,
Rangers.
I have not been into HeroClix much over the last few years because there's nowhere to play it. But I do love it. Hidden gem of a tabletop game. If you ever want to play HeroClix with me, hit me up. I'm down. But I
Cool.
just haven't played much recently because there's nowhere to play.
Yeah,
Cool.
that is great. My little one that I'll recommend. I mean, we're not recommending. This is not a recommendation episode.
Nope.
But just something you were talking
But
about.
to
something
yourself.
that's, you know, what I've found with a lot of people when you talk to them specifically about things like board games is they're all the time they're like, oh, I love board games. And you're like, oh, really? What's your favorite game? They're like, I love Catan.
Yep,
I like Tickets to
Catan.
Ride.
Oh, if one
I
more
like
person says Catan to
Skip
me,
Bow. I'm like, well, that's not even a board game, right?
Yeah, Room a
Yeah.
Cube. Like, shut up.
Or they're like, hey, we're going to have a game night. And I was like, okay, these people are putting together a full game night. That's pretty fun. You get over there and they whip out Cards Against Humanity. And you're like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Hey, Cards Against Humanity is fun. I like that
For
game.
a couple rounds.
For maybe 20 minutes.
And with the right
Yeah, if you're
people.
bad at it. Like you guys are. Remember how we
Yeah.
played
Kick
and
him
I
out.
won?
Kick him out.
Yeah, out of the
Yeah.
middle. Kicked
Yeah,
from
which
the-
is such a true test of how funny of a person you are, is if you can put... I don't want to say
I so
any
drunk
words.
at getting drunk.
I was going to say some bad words, but I can't because we're on a podcast. Anyway, whatever. So once
mad
I'm
about
like,
it.
yeah, I like
He's
board
mad
games.
about it.
And then I start talking about like
He's
all these
gatekeeping
games
board
I'm in.
games.
I'm not gatekeeping board games. In fact, I'm saying I'm actively talking to people about them, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I like this game called The Quacks of Quedlinburg,
Yeah.
you know? And they're like,
Quacks
never even
rocks.
heard of that.
Yeah,
And I'm
Quacks
like,
is great.
who's heard of that? Nobody, until you show them it, and then they
Yeah.
love it.
Truly,
Right.
there are so many hidden gem board games like that. It's kind of sad how
Here-
many of them are.
Here's the
hidden.
thing with board games. Totally agree. But it's like hard to even know unless you're specifically like you play a game because
Yeah.
I feel like it's like the learning curve is like the barrier of entry. Like, oh yeah, I've played Catan a million times and it's fun, and I don't really want to spend half the night learning a game that I maybe won't even like that much.
That's fair.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Well, no,
I
and
love
it's-
playing new board games, but
It's true, and games like, I mean, Quacks is going to be my answer because everyone I've showed it to just has a swell, great time.
Mm-hmm.
What a gem of a game. But I think you can find it at any game store. Pretty much any game store will have Quacks now, right?
oh really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, you can find like the big box, which has both expansions in it as well. So, like, it's available. People can find it. But every time even I go into a board game store, I'm not looking around. I'm like, oh, I would like to play all of these. No, it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
oh,
There's
I
just
like
too
the
much.
stuff that I've been exposed to. And then if I hear recommendations for one, I'll look into it. So, yeah, it's definitely one of those things where a movie you can just sit down and watch. A
Yeah.
board game, you have to learn the rule, purchase it, or find a way to get it for free. Learn the rules, and then convince people to play it with you.
Yeah.
And then hope you have a good experience.
That is one thing I will say about, as much as I kind of hate it, but slapping an IP on a board game that already exists does attract new players because it's like, oh, this game has Thanos on it, and it's like Splendor or whatever, a game which I very much enjoy.
Yeah.
And you throw Marvel on it, it's like, oh, cool, I can like give this as a gift or whatever, and it's not that out of pocket because it's like, oh, cool, I'm making you buy this game. It's like, oh, cool, it's like a Marvel game, even even if it originally had nothing to do with it. That being said, though, there's some games like Dune which are just totally built around the IP it's based on, and they're great
Yeah.
and fun.
Yeah, Dune is a great one, and the Red Rising board game is a great one.
That game.
Oh, that was a
rocked.
fun game.
That game was.
There's
so cool.
speaking of board games, Jared got me on the website /app Board Game Geek. There's a super high ranked Star Wars game on there that's like
Rebellion?
pretty new. Yeah, I don't remember what it was called, but it looks really fun. It looks very cool. I don't know if you guys have played it, but
I have not.
I've
throw
not
Star
played
Wars on
Rebellion.
something or create. See, that's another thing you can do. If you have a cool idea for a game, you can just be like, hey, this is what I want to do, and if we set it in the Star Wars world, it will probably sell better.
Yeah.
because a lot
Well-
of these games are produced by Hasbro and those types of companies. So
Another game that I recently just played with my brother is the Doom board game. Not Dune, but Doom.
interesting. Doom the
Doom.
video game.
It's a
Doom,
it's
the
a
video
one
game.
versus many
board game.
where I think you can play up to 5 people. 4 people would be Marines, and then 1 person controls the monsters.
Nice. Yeah,
And-
there's a Star Wars one like that as well.
Yeah. Well, that's actually
that what Rebellion is?
Imperial Assault
Imperial
is
Assault, that's
is
right.
the Star Wars game.
Yeah.
Apparently, it has this kind of interesting background. Doom was the first game, and then it got adapted into Descent.
Yeah.
And then Descent got
Descent.
adapted into Imperial Assault. And then Imperial Assault got adapted back into Doom.
What
So the Doom that's sold now isn't the same one that all of these were based on. It's kind of like updated, like seeing all of the successes and failures of those other ones, kind of like been totally disassembled and reassembled based on the Imperial Assault setup.
Nice.
And
Interesting.
I
Hopefully
played
that
it with
means
my
it's
brother.
been, updated and improved.
Yeah, well,
along
and
the way.
now all of it is kind of based on the 2016 Doom and everything, so it's kind of got a little more updated like
I see.
visuals and everything.
That's
But
definitely helpful.
I played 2 Marines. I played as 2 characters, and my brother played the monsters. And it's the most fun I've had playing a board game in like kind of a long time.
Fun.
So
Interesting.
Doom board game, real good. My other answer though, my video game that I was gonna say, is a GameCube game that I desperately look for other people who have played this game, and I truly have found 0 people
So
who
if
have
you've played
ever
it,
played it.
Get in the comments.
Sound
Tell
off.
Niall. Yeah.
Get in the comments. I need to talk to someone about
Join
this.
his fandom of one.
It is called Custom Robo.
Oh yeah, I've
It's
played
on
that.
the GameCube. Shut up.
I didn't even
It
own a
is-
GameCube.
It's called Custom Robo. I think Battle Evolved or not Combat Evolved. That's Halo. Battle Evolution, I think, is what it's called.
Cool.
And it's so cool. It's a very story-driven game, so half of it you're just clicking through text boxes. So it doesn't like necessarily hold up that well, but the world of it is really cool. The story is actually very well thought out. The combat is fun. You get to customize your robo, hence the name, and then fight it against other different people, and you unlock more stuff. And before every fight, you get a different chance to customize your robo and change it. So it's not like you're just consistently building the same character. You always have the option to entirely change your play style. And it's just awesome. I love it. The music is perfect. The whole vibe and aesthetic of the game is just awesome, and it like screams that like 2000s GameCube game setup. It rules. I think that's like one of the best kept secrets of the video game world.
Do you believe it should be remade for the Switch?
I would love a Switch remake with online combat, like multiplayer.
Yeah.
Oh, that would
That'd be
be
pretty fun.
so cool.
It sounds
That I have a video game actually as well, and this is a video
Minecraft.
game I played one time in my entire life,
Among
like during
Us.
one period. Yeah, Among Us, hidden gem. You've never heard of it. I can't even say that I would have fun if I played this again, because I played it while I was staying in Maryland with my cousins back in like, honestly, probably like 2005. I was a young lad, but this memory is deeply implanted in my brain, and I'm sure if I were to bring it up to my brothers, they would remember this game as well. But it's called Fusion Frenzy. It was on the original Xbox, and it's basically this 4-player game where you do all these like little mini games and fight against each other, almost like a Fall Guys type thing, but it's just the 4 of you, and it was so fun. And I only ever played it that 1 week of my life, and I've never played it or thought of it that much since then. But so much fun. Never even heard of it again, but somehow I was able to Google, because I remember one of the characters' names. I was in 3rd grade, actually. I remember that specifically because one of the characters' names had the same last name as my 3rd grade teacher, which was Samson. And I looked up and found it was Fusion Frenzy
Samsonite.
on the Xbox. And it was a ton of
It
fun.
looks cool.
Yeah, dude, it was sick. It was really, really fun. People, like, I almost feel like it was I don't think it was included with the Xbox, but it was almost like that
It's the
type of a
Xbox's
game.
Wii Sports.
Yeah, something like that. So maybe you have heard of this game, and maybe you had fun with it when you were a kid as well. Because I'm not going to recommend an Xbox.
Well, we're not
original
recommending
game. Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm not recommending.
This
But
is
I
not
am
a
saying,
recommending episode.
hidden gem. Had a lot of fun with it. Haven't played it since, but man, was it good.
That's great.
Love
So
it.
get in the comments if you've played it.
Get in the comments.
I've got 2 potential questions that we can do.
Oh, snap.
Okay.
This episode just went from good to great.
The first one is, boys, what is something that... Okay, 3 potential questions. First one.
No way.
So we'll vote.
Okay.
First one is, has there been something that has truly surprised you that someone hasn't heard of? Right? Like, so you show someone something for the first time that you're like, how in the world have you not heard of this? Because everyone's
I see.
heard
So
of
it's
it.
like opposite
And
of a
so
hidden gem?
it's the opposite. It's like, this is it was a hidden gem to you somehow, you know?
Yeah.
So that's one. Second one is, what's something that you did take a chance on that was not good at all?
Okay.
My answer is this one. But behind me, it's called That Awkward Moment.
You took a chance by purchasing it.
Yeah, exactly. And the third question is, what is your favorite movie or show or something that is about a hidden gem?
That is about a hidden gem, like the Lego movie,
Uncut Gems.
something like that.
So those
Okay,
are my
I
three
have an
questions.
answer for the first one.
I like the first one. I think we should do that.
Okay, let's do that one.
But I think the
My
other one's the fun
first
too.
one
Yeah, get in the
is-
comments about the other 2.
Once upon a time, I was in the
Comments of the
car
podcast.
with my friend Joel Christensen. Shout out Joel. He might
Joel.
even be listening to
Love
this.
Joel. Oh,
We're in the car, and we were listening to, I think, Super Fast Jellyfish by Gorillaz.
Yep.
And he was like, "Oh, this is cool. What is this?" And I was like, "It's Super Fast Jellyfish by Gorillaz." And he was like, "Geez, I haven't heard of these guys. They're good." And I was like, "Yeah, you have."
By Gorillas.
Yeah,
You
maybe you
heard
haven't
of Gorillas.
Maybe you haven't heard this song.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he was like, "No, I don't. The name doesn't sound familiar to me." I'm like, "Okay, well, they're the ones that did Feel Good Inc." And he was like, "What?" And I kind of sang some of it for him, and he was like, "That doesn't sound familiar." So I was like, "Okay, you'll know it." And I pull up "Feel Good Inc."
Yeah.
by Gorillaz.
1
a song,
billion
a song
streams.
that you are born knowing.
Yeah.
You don't hear this song for the first time. This song is just part of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I put it on, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this is cool." And I'm like,
What do you mean it's cool? You
"Yeah,
know it,
I know
right?
it's
know,
cool.
yeah.
So does all of society."
Yeah.
Everyone
And
knows it's cool.
he's like, "Yeah, I haven't heard this." And I'm like, "Just wait for the chorus."
Yeah.
And we get to the chorus, and he's like, "Yeah, listen,
That's
I've
crazy.
never heard this before." So
That is very
Feel
wild.
Good Inc. by Gorillaz. I was there for someone's first time hearing it. Someone who is older than me by 2 years, by the way.
Yeah. Well,
Unbelievable.
the first thing that came to my mind is the exact same. And I
Feel
think,
Good Inc. by Gorillaz.
yeah, it's Feel Good Inc. by the Gorillaz. When we did our album recommendation episode, my dad listened to that one, and he's
Nice.
like, "You guys were talking about what was that band you guys kept bringing up?" And I was like, "I don't know. Let's look." And he's like, "Oh, that one." I was like, "Gorillaz?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Are they like what's that? Like, why do you guys like it so much?" I was like, "Well, you know them.
Yeah, you've heard of them.
You've
Wait,
heard of them.
this is truly.
This is truly the same thing. It happened, I think, before
Same,
your...
oh, wow.
Because I feel like I maybe told you about it. And then
This was
after
probably
that,
happening about concurrent because I only started listening to the Gorillaz like
Yeah,
really
after our
after
episode.
that episode.
Discography.
That's right.
So it's probably about the same time.
Probably. But my dad was like, "Yeah, I haven't heard any of their stuff." And I played Feel Good Inc. And I was like, "This one though?" And he's
Yeah.
like, "Nope."
That's
And he's-
insane.
yeah, he's
You've
older
never
than us
been
by a
in the
couple years.
store while this was
Yeah,
playing.
I know,
Like,
yeah.
Dude, yeah, it's just... That is something that is just always on.
I feel like that
Yeah.
was like the
You hear
soundtrack
the
of like
ha, ha, ha,
50%
ha,
of
ha.
commercials
Feel good.
at one point.
It's in The Big
That was
Short.
that was in like the training montage of like every like 2000s girl sports movie. Like that's like that vibe.
Yep.
Nothing. That's crazy.
One thing I will say about parents not having heard of modern music or even music after the 80s is that they have not even, I mean, obviously limited scope, but most people, I would say, who grew up in the 80s did not continue to listen to new music as it was released. Because I have had a similar experience with a lot of like people who are, my dad is very into music, but my mom and like people who are around my mom's age, I'm like, you guys just listened to Highway to the Danger Zone and U2 and just said, this is enough for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's
And then have
Those
not
are the two.
moved on from that.
Kenny Loggins,
Yeah.
Danger Zone, and all of U2's
All of-
discography.
All of U2's discography pre-1990. They don't listen to the new stuff because they don't have a streaming service.
Yeah,
They
you
still
don't need to hear
download their
Vertigo.
songs.
Well,
from
dude, that's
iTunes
the
after
Wii
ripping them
version
from a
of
CD.
Wii Sports, right? Is
Yeah.
iTunes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whatever
Songs
that
of
YouTube.
Innocence.
Yeah.
Mine is actually this one. I can't be that like. I mean, I get it, but also, so I have a few Weird Al shirts because I've gotten one from every one of the concerts I went to, and this was
Weird
in
Albert.
2020. So I was 21, not
Hang on.
very old. I'm still not very old,
21?
but I was even younger than I am now. And I went to a drumline rehearsal wearing my Weird Al shirt. And there was a guy like, oh, hi, I like your shirt. I was like, oh, nice. You like Weird Al? He's like, who's Weird Al? And I was like, what do you mean? That's who this guy is. Like, he's an artist.
Weird Al.
And
It's kind
I
of
was
a
like,
cool shirt if there wasn't a Weird Al
he's
as well,
18,
though.
right? So that's only 3 years younger than me. And I'm like, you've never even heard, like, you don't even
Were
recognize.
you alive in the 2000s?
Exactly. It's like, even if you don't like Weird Al, you've probably heard Eat It or White and Nerdy, especially White,
White and Nerdy,
Yeah.
definitely.
or Amish Paradise. Like, that is the song. If you're going to know a Weird Al song and you're our age, it's probably Amish Paradise or White and Nerdy.
I think,
And
White and Nerdy.
not only was it
Yeah,
this
probably
one
White
kid,
and
I was
Nerdy,
looking
not the
around
other
at everyone. It's like, do you guys know who Weird Al is? Do you know who this guy is on my shirt? And no one knew in the whole room except for the
Really?
drumline instructor. And I was
So-
like,
That's wild.
I know, it was crazy. And I'm like, I am 2 years older than you. It's not
Yeah.
like I am so out of
Yeah.
touch. Wow,
One
look at me, I was born
person
in the
is
late
like
90s.
weird, but not that crazy. An entire room of people, that's
Yeah.
like shocking.
I know. And it's, like, he's not the biggest artist ever, but he even acts in things sometimes. So to not even recognize him at all and think,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, I feel like I know who that is. It's like, oh, Weird Al.
the
Cool, yeah,
the
Amish Paradise
Star
guy.
Wars one.
The
What's that one called? The This Here Anakin.
Oh,
guy.
yeah, that one.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
That one is
Totally.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Fun fact about
Or
that.
Yoda.
Yoda is a great one
Yoda,
too.
Yoda.
Yeah, come on.
That American Pie spoof.
Yeah.
He about episode 1. He wrote that, and it covers the entire plot of the Phantom Menace. It came out before the movie came out because he wrote the song based off of the novelization of the movie. And
Seriously?
yeah, it was totally accurate to the actual plot, and so
That's nuts.
yeah,
That's pretty
people
great.
were kind of listening, like, "Wow, huh." So Qui-Gon dies, I guess. It didn't
Dude,
come out.
that's
in
the
Marvel,
funniest
but
spoiler.
that's kinda
So
wild.
funny.
That's the best way to get something spoiled is
Yeah,
through
like,
song
my
by
uncle
Weird
said
Al.
that he read the novelization of episode 1 before watching it and thought it was good. He was like, "Yeah, this is like really good. I'm excited to watch the movie." And then he was disappointed because Jar Jar, I think, in text was probably more attractive than Jar Jar
Sure.
as an animated
I
individual.
can imagine.
Yeah.
I have two more that I'll give.
Let's hear.
First one, I was studying, this was this year. I was studying for like a finance exam in the library with a ton of people around me. And I was just chatting with my group, and I made a joke about Jack Marius Tactheratrix and
Yeah.
X-Wing at Oliciousness, right? And Hingle McCringleberry. These
Yeah,
names that I
Torque
thought
Construction Noises Lewis.
Lewis or Dan Smith, BYU.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
The ultimate.
And I thought that was something for our age group
Yeah.
everyone knew.
Yep.
This is a
100%.
Key and Peele sketch, right? That's called the East-West Bowl, right? It's concurrent with the Substitute Teacher sketch,
Yep.
Totally
right?
on the same level.
Aaron,
Yep.
all that stuff. And I said this to my group, and they did not get it. one of the students was an international student, not his fault.
Yeah.
But the other lady with me had
No
clue.
excuses.
And I was like, I don't want to be sexist, but maybe it's a girl thing. Like, this is more of a guy sketch.
It's
like a football thing, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was like, but I guarantee you, any guy in here would know. And she's like, I doubt that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, hey, you guy. And I just pointed to a dude.
Hey, you guy.
And I was like, come here. And just this guy who was definitely like more of a jock type.
Yeah.
I was like, do you recognize these names? And I started listing them off. He's like, nope. And then I went over to the table he was at with more guys, and I listed off these names, and they're like, no. And I was like, Dan Smith, BYU, East West Bowl, Key and Peele. And they're like, nah, man. And I showed them the video, and they're like, we've never seen this before. And I was going to lose my mind.
That is kind of wild.
So that's one. I mean, again, that's not like a blockbuster movie or
How close to
one
your
of the most
age
popular
did they
songs.
seem?
Right there with me.
Yeah,
You know,
like,
the
not
same
like-
age.
to
Yeah.
be fair,
Noticeably
I was in
younger.
my 6th year of college,
Sure.
and they could have been in their first year. So
Yeah, but
Right.
still,
Which
like,
would have
Key
had
and
been
Peele-
like 4 years old when it came out or something.
yeah, exactly. So maybe, but I was shocked, man. They had to have been like 21 at least.
Yeah.
So,
That's nuts. I
so
don't like that.
yeah,
I
not
don't
at
like
all.
21-year-olds either.
And then I had another one, but now I'm forgetting it.
Was it Death Note or Shingeki
Yeah,
no
it
Kyojin?
was Shingeki no
You went up.
Kyojin.
Hey, do you remember Shingeki no Kyojin in season 4, episode 1, when Bizao accidentally kills Dudu and then his whoppity bop 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 does a little dance?
I thought you
You've
hadn't
got a
seen
sniper dot on your forehead right now, Lucas. I don't know if you can see that.
I know
But-
the weebs want to hunt me and eat my carcass for disrespecting Shingeki no Kyojin. For the layman who does not speak Japanese, that is Attack on Titan, of course,
it. Of course.
Very
which just
impressive.
ended this week. It
I
ended
know.
by.
Don't say anything
Yeah.
about it. I still
Duh.
haven't had a chance to catch
Well,
up.
I
I'm
know
gonna
how it ended.
grind it out tomorrow.
I know that Trucker ended up accidentally
Don't say
shooting
anything about
Thumper
Trucker.
in the neck, and
Tucker and Thumper? No.
But in
They
the
were my
neck is
favorite
actually
duo. They were
a
such
pretty
good
good
friends.
detail.
yeah, it snapped his neck through the bullet because he has a really weak, thin neck, and he died from it, and that's how it ends. So
Oh, so
sorry.
was he?
Sorry to
Was he?
spoil it. He was a
Was
Titan
he,
killer. He was a Titan
Oh,
killer
well.
all along in secret.
No way.
He was a
How could he
Shingeki no
kill all
Kyojin
those
killer.
good guys, the Titans?
Yeah. So sorry to spoil that if you haven't watched
Sorry,
it yet,
guys.
but that's
Dang.
just part of enjoying a podcast is knowing you'll get Shingeki no Kyojin spoiled.
Wait, what does
That's
that
true.
mean?
Shingeki no Kyojin means Attack on Titan in English, Japanese. I
That's
mean.
good. Maybe
Yeah.
that piece of information is a good hidden gem,
That is
at
a
least
good
from
mention.
I think it
Americans.
is.
If you ever want to impress a weeaboo, just say, "Hey, have you seen the newest episode of Shingeki no Kyojin?" They'll
And
be
they'll
very
say,
impressed. They'll say,
And they'll
"Who?"
push their glasses up and they'll glint fully white. The glasses will, so you
Yeah.
can't see their pupils, and they'll say, huh, "Of course I've seen Shingeki no Kyojin. Who do you think I am?" And then they'll twist their fedora. around.
I'm thinking I've seen maybe probably all of them, like 4 times, literally.
Whoa.
I actually read the manga, so I knew how it ended like 2 years ago.
Whoa.
Guys, do you want to dub an anime?
I do.
No.
So badly, I do.
It would be so fun.
It'd be fun to
I-
just... Come on,
You
wouldn't
can't
that be
say
fun?
that doing that wouldn't be the
It
most
depends on the
exciting.
anime.
Well,
I
of
think
course,
if-
yeah,
Well, we
we get
was-
a good episode.
I feel like we track down something that hasn't been dubbed yet, and we do it.
Something
take
that
the
has, so
subtitles.
we have to assume the
No,
translation is good.
no, the subtitles.
Oh, of course.
Oh,
Sorry.
I see what you're saying. But we can tweak them a little bit.
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
this is a
Make it feel a
post-credits
little more-
conversation.
Totally it is. Sorry. But you know what's
That's all
not
I
a
got.
post-credits conversation?
Hit us with it.
Our very good
Giving
friend.
a shout out to my dear sweet mother, Kel. Shout out to Kel, Mom.
yeah, Mom.
This shout out, if my internet will go quicker.
It won't.
I don't know how the internet for loading websites goes so slow, and yet I am sustaining this Zoom call. But
Hannah
shout out
Steve.
to Kel.
Let's start with
Riley
Hannah Steve.
Allen.
Started at the bottom, now we're at the bottom, going
But
to
still
the top.
make Britain
Shout
last.
out to
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be hard to... Okay.
Oh, well.
Shout out to Kel. This week's shout out to Kel comes from Hannah Steed, Ian James Martin, Riley Allen, Easy Lob, Michael Polonsic, Nick Bell, and Britton Inkley.
Nice. Britain is
Nice.
last where he belongs.
Yep, that shout out
Worst fan.
really is just going to sustain my mother for one more week of life. So we really appreciate that. If you want to add your voice to the shout out, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/mancavemovienight. It's $3 a month, and you get to shout out Kel at the end of every episode. You also get access to bonus episodes, the post-credits episodes, the episodes where we talk about things like what we started to talk about right now, whether or not we would like to dub an anime.
Things that we almost started talking about right now.
In fact, I already guarantee you this week's post-credits scene or post-credits
We'll have a lot
episode,
of that.
we're gonna show off a lot of our anime voices, and we're gonna show off kind of how that would go.
And because
Let's
I
do
started
that.
watching Death Note, I understand
You know.
what that means more so now than I did before.
Oh yeah. I'll take a potato chip and
Eat it!
So if you'd like to see some of that bonus content where we get a little silly, a little goofy, and certainly a little bit zany, then you can support us on Patreon. If you don't want to support us on Patreon, there are so many other ways to support us, which my colleagues will now inform you on.
Give us 5
Listening.
stars. Share us with a friend. And
Listening.
follow us on Instagram. And
listening.
like all of our posts on Instagram.
And
And
giving us dollars.
sharing us on Instagram.
We like
Stop
dollars.
mailing me suspicious packages.
Yeah,
No, that's a good way to support.
Sometimes I
His
feel
address is beep.
hungry, and I would like to purchase a meal, but I don't like spending money. So if you sent me dollars, like $25 for a meal, that could be nice for you to do for me.
Cool.
So if you
And
wanna
also
do
to
that-
reiterate, the money that you send us on Patreon is not going toward that. It's going toward hopefully funding giveaways, which we'll be looking at pretty soon here.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was going towards
funding-
your mom's hospital bills.
No, she
it
just
was,
needs. It's
but
like
no longer.
fairies. All you need to do is clap and say, "I believe
Sure,
in
yeah.
fairies."
And then
But
she's healed.
our version is you just
Shouting
have
out
to
Kel.
subscribe
Oh, I see,
and
I see,
shout
I
out to
see.
Kel.
And the more people that shout her out, the more she's sustained.
Yeah.
Yeah,
makes
for
sense.
those
Soon
of you
she'll be
who
able
are
to fly.
for those of you who are
Oh.
unaware, my mom has no hospital bills. She's doing fine. That's just a bit. In case my
We
mom
wouldn't
listens
joke
to this
about
and
that.
she's like, "Are you lying about my health to
That's
get
true.
money?"
Yes.
My mom doesn't have hospital bills, but
We
the
should
money
start a
does go
GoFundMe
towards the
for her
podcast.
hospital bills.
That's so messed up, dude.
Some that messed up.
Yeah.
Cut that,
Anyway,
cut that.
so I don't have anything else to say.
Cool.
Lucas has one thing left to say.
Welcome back to another Man Cave Movie Night Monday. We'll
That was all
see
the
you
cold
next
open.
week.
The diamond
And
the
Bazinga,
rough.
also. And bye.